Right now, there is a wound inside you that you have been running from for years, and it is exhausting you more than you even realize. Maybe it's a memory you bury every time it rises to the surface. Maybe it's a feeling in your chest that you silence with noise, with work, with anything that isn't stillness. You were taught that pain is the enemy, something to numb, bury, or outrun as fast as possible. So that is exactly what you have done, for years, maybe your entire life, without ever once stopping to ask why. But what if everything you were taught about pain was wrong from the very beginning? What if that ache isn't trying to destroy you, but is actually trying to reach you, like a message that has been knocking on your heart for years? What if the very thing you have feared the most this whole time has secretly been trying to save you? By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why your pain exists and what it has been trying to tell you all along. And once you understand it, you will never look at your pain, or yourself, the same way again, because the thing you have been avoiding your whole life is not your weakness, it is your way home. You wake up some mornings and there's a heaviness in your chest before you even open your eyes. You don't always know why it's there, but it follows you anyway, into the kitchen, into your car, into the meetings and conversations where you're supposed to be present but you're not really. You smile when people ask if you're okay, because that's easier than the truth. The truth takes too long to explain, and most people don't actually want to hear it anyway. So you say, "I'm fine," and you walk away carrying the same invisible weight you've carried for years. This is not weakness. This is survival. You learned a long time ago that showing your pain came with a cost, maybe rejection, maybe judgment, maybe someone telling you to just get over it. So you built walls instead, brick by brick, until even you forgot what was behind them. But here's something nobody told you. Pain that isn't faced doesn't disappear, it just changes shape. It becomes the anxiety that creeps in at 2 a.m. It becomes the anger that explodes over something small. It becomes the numbness that makes you feel like you're watching your own life from far away, like you're a stranger in your own story. You've called it stress. You've called it being tired. You've called it a bad week, a bad year, a bad life, but deep down you know it's something older than that. Something that has been sitting quietly inside you, waiting for the moment you'd finally stop running long enough to turn around and face it. And maybe that moment is right now. Maybe you clicked on this video because some part of you, even if you can't name it, knew you were ready to stop avoiding what's underneath. That part of you is not broken. That part of you is brave. Because the avoidance was never about weakness. It was about protection. Your mind built that armor because at some point, it had to. You needed it to survive what you were going through. But the very thing that protected you back then might be the same thing keeping you stuck now. So before we go any further, I want you to take a breath. Not because this will be easy, but because what you're about to understand could change the way you carry everything you've been holding on to. You are not here by accident. Let's talk about what pain actually is, not the version you've been told, but the real one. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is a messenger. It shows up uninvited, yes, but it always shows up with a reason, even when that reason feels impossible to see in the moment. Think about physical pain for a second. When you touch something hot, your hand pulls back instantly. That pain isn't punishing you, it's protecting you. It's telling you something urgent, something your body needs you to know right now. Emotional pain works the exact same way, except the lesson isn't about fire, it's about something deeper inside you that's been ignored for far too long. Maybe your sadness is trying to tell you that you've been abandoning your own needs for everyone else's. Maybe your anxiety is trying to tell you that you're living a life that doesn't actually feel like yours. Maybe your anger is trying to tell you that a boundary was crossed long ago, and nobody ever protected you the way you deserve to be protected. Pain speaks in a language most of us were never taught to understand. So instead of listening, we silence it. We scroll, we overwork, we distract, we numb. And every time we do that, the message doesn't go away, it just gets louder, waiting for the day we finally have no choice but to listen. This is why some people carry the same heartbreak for 10 years without ever truly healing. Not because they're weak, but because they never gave themselves permission to actually feel it. They moved on with their calendar, but never moved on in their heart. And maybe that's you right now. Maybe there's a version of you still standing in a moment from years ago, still waiting for someone to say it wasn't your fault, still waiting to be allowed to grieve something you were told to just move past. If that's true for you, I need you to hear this clearly. Your pain was never asking you to be punished by it. It was asking you to finally pay attention to it, gently, honestly, and without the shame you've been carrying for far too long. Here is something that might be hard to hear, but it could change everything for you. The reason your pain feels so unbearable sometimes is not because the pain itself is too much. It's because you've spent so long fighting it instead of understanding it. And fighting something always costs more energy than facing it ever would. Think about how exhausting it is to hold a door shut when something on the other side keeps pushing. That's what avoidance feels like. Every single day, you're using energy to keep a door closed, energy you could be using to actually live, to actually feel joy, to actually feel free. The pain isn't pushing to hurt you. It's pushing because it wants out, so it can finally stop weighing you down. This is why people who suppress their emotions for years often feel a strange exhaustion that sleep never fixes. It's not your body that's tired. It's your spirit, worn down from holding a weight it was never meant to carry alone for this long. And maybe you've noticed this in your own life. The nights you can't sleep even though your body is tired. The moments you snap at someone you love over something so small it didn't even matter. The way joy feels distant, like it's happening to other people but somehow not to you. These aren't random moments. They are echoes of something unresolved, quietly asking to be acknowledged. Your mind is patient, but it is not silent. It will keep finding ways to get your attention until you finally turn around and look at what it's been trying to show you. So what does it actually look like to stop fighting and start understanding? It starts with one radical shift, learning to sit with discomfort instead of immediately escaping it. Not forever, not all at once, just long enough to ask yourself a simple question. What is this feeling actually trying to tell me? That single question has the power to change the entire relationship you have with your own pain, turning it from something terrifying into something you can finally begin to understand, and maybe, for the first time, even begin to trust. Healing was never about erasing your pain like it never happened. That idea, the one that says you should just forget and move on, it has hurt more people than it has ever helped. Real healing is not about forgetting. It's about understanding what happened to you deeply enough that it no longer controls you from the shadows. There is a Japanese art called kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold instead of being hidden or thrown away. The cracks aren't disguised. They're highlighted, because the piece is considered more valuable for having survived being broken. Your story is no different. The scars you carry are not proof that you are damaged. They are proof that you are still here. This is why the people who seem the most grounded, the most genuinely kind, the most quietly strong, are often the ones who have walked through the deepest pain. Not because suffering is something to chase, but because they did the hard work of facing what most people spend their whole lives running from. If you've been carrying something heavy for years, I want you to consider a different way of looking at it. What if that experience wasn't meant to break you permanently, but to eventually become the very thing that gives you depth, empathy, and a strength most people will never understand because they've never had to find it? This doesn't mean what happened to you was okay. It wasn't. It means you get to decide what it means moving forward. You get to decide whether it defines you as a victim forever, or whether it becomes the foundation of a strength nobody can ever take away from you again. This doesn't mean what happened to you was okay. It wasn't. It means you get to decide what it means moving forward. You get to decide whether it defines you as a victim forever, or whether it becomes the foundation of a strength nobody can ever take away from you again. And every single one of those choices, no matter how small they feel, is quietly rebuilding you into someone stronger than the person who first felt that pain. So here you are, at the end of this video, but really, at the beginning of something else entirely. Everything I've told you today was never just information. It was an invitation to finally stop running from the very thing that has been quietly trying to save you this whole time. Your pain was never your punishment. It was proof that you are still capable of feeling deeply in a world that constantly tells you to numb yourself just to survive it. The fact that it hurts means your heart is still alive, still open, still capable of healing, no matter how long you've been carrying this. You don't have to heal everything today. You don't have to have it all figured out by tomorrow. You just have to stop treating your pain like something shameful, and start treating it like something sacred, something that has survived inside you, waiting patiently for the moment you'd finally be ready to listen. That moment is now. Not because everything will instantly feel better, but because awareness is where every real transformation begins. You cannot heal what you refuse to face, but you can absolutely transform what you finally have the courage to understand. So if this message found you today, know that it was not an accident. Somewhere inside you, a part of you has been waiting for permission to stop pretending you're okay, and to finally begin the slow, honest, sacred work of becoming whole again. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not too damaged to be loved. You are not too far gone to start again. You are simply a human being who has been carrying something heavy for far too long, and today, you finally get to set part of it down. So take a breath. Let this moment matter. And remember this above everything else: the pain you've been avoiding your entire life was never trying to destroy you. It was trying to heal you, all along.